Okay, dear friends, we are switching to the English session. And first of all, let me thank you all for your time. We are really very happy to see you today. So as you know, our week today was dedicated to the famous Soviet Armenian film director Sergei Parajanov. I hope you had time to check the multimedia resources and the films of the genius film director, which were posted to your web pages. If you haven't, you can find the link still on your pages. I will really should suggest that you go and check all the multimedia resources and watch the films. So our colleagues Marina and Arpine have prepared a virtual tour to Parajanov Museum, which we are going to enjoy in a couple of minutes. We have special guests today who will be answering to your questions after the virtual journey. The founding director Parajanov Museum, Zaven Sargsyan, and the head of the Department of Organizing Exhibition and Publicity, Anahit Mikhailian, are here with us today, and we are ready to start.
Dear friends, we are in the Museum of Sergei Parajanov. Let's discover world-famous filmmaker and artist Sergei Parajanov together. Let's go! Hello everyone, hi, I'm happy to greet you in this wonderful place and would like to say thank you to Mr. Sargsyan for providing us this opportunity to take live streaming from the museum. And now with the help of Anahit, we will discover more about this genius filmmaker and artist Sergei Parajanov.
Thank you. Welcome to the Museum of Sergei Parajanov. Today I tried to discover for you Sergei Parajanov as an artist, and on a second floor also I will introduce his movies, so there I will tell about his movies. Sergei Parajanov was a great, famous movie maker in the world, but nearly 15 years he was not allowed to make movies because Soviet authorities banned it. They say that his movies were out of Soviet standards frame. He said, well, I was not allowed to make movies, I will create collage, because each collage, it's a compressed movie. I am free, I can do everything. So the collage for him was the way to express everything which he had in his inside. As an artist, he started with his biography. That's why the display of this museum, the excursion, also we started with his biography. Sergei Parajanov was born in Tbilisi in 1924 in an Armenian family. Their surname was Parajanyans, but his father changed from Parajanyans to Parajanov because back then it was a common practice. People who want to have a success, they change and make like Russian surname. So in Tbilisi, he graduated Russian secondary school. Here we can see his school diploma, which he passed in collage. He didn't do well at school, but he managed to become famous movie director, artist. That's why now we are in his museum. So in those two pictures, we can see him with his two sisters, Anna and Rosen. He was a youngest child in a family. He was very eccentric. Actually, his family was very eccentric family. So especially his mother, she was very artistic woman, and they say that Sergei Parajanov inherited to his mother. This installation he dedicated to his father's memory. He called My Father's Strange and Funny Life, but with symbols he expressed his father's life and the environment where his father was living. Here we can see barbed wires, which symbolizes prison. His father twice was in prison for selling antique things, antiques. So with mask he wanted to show that his father had two lives. In their house was different, out of house different. Here we also can see those two pomegranates. For Sergei Parajanov, pomegranate was the symbol of life and became most popular or most famous symbol of Armenia after his Sayat Nova, The Color of Pomegranates movie. I'm 16 years old. This is like a short movie about him, which he made using his pictures from 3 years to 60 years. In Tbilisi, he graduated Russian secondary school. Then he entered the Institute of Railway Transportation. He left, moved from Tbilisi to Moscow. So we can move here. And in Moscow, he entered the Institute of whole Soviet Union cinematography. Here we can see a picture of his group. Here is Sergei Parajanov with 2 lecturers. When he studied in Moscow, he met with his first wife, with Nigyar, but they could live together only 2 weeks, unfortunately. Her family was against of her marriage with Sergei Parajanov, and after 2 weeks her brothers murdered her. It was very tragic for Sergei.
What was the reason that they were against it?
She was engaged another Muslim young from childhood they had engaged to each other, so it was the reason. After graduating institute, he was sent to Ukraine. He worked as an assistant and then as a movie maker in Ukrainian film studio. In Ukraine, he met with his second wife, Svetlana. But he was already 31 years old, and Svetlana was just 17. Here he added his 17 years old picture to show a difference between their ages. He called "We are 17." They lived together nearly 7 years. They have one son, Sergei Parajanov. Now Sergei lives in Ukraine. Our wine. Their family had wine factory and wine shop then. So his uncle sold Parajanov clear Kakheti wine. Kakheti is one of the regions of Georgia. And this installation he dedicated to his family story. Barber was his sister's husband, whom he didn't like. That's why he made his funny collage. Here we can see coin, which symbolizes that he liked money. Here we have 4 stained glasses, which Sergei Parajanov painted on his friend's art room windows in Moscow. It was 2010 when museum had received as a gift. After watching movie by Pier Paolo Pasolini, The Gospel According to Matthew, he made this collection. Here is very interesting, this Last Supper. I wanted to show that betrayal was in that time everywhere, not only in the movies, not only the life of Jesus Christ or every time, even in Soviet Union,
and
in his life.
Especially surrounded him.
Yeah, of course, in his life. Among his mosaic works and his Sayatnova, The Color of Pomegranates movie, we can do parallel because that movie he made using this technique, this technology he used. So that movie he made like a mosaic picture. On the second floor, we will watch together. We will watch separate episodes are following each other. Each episode itself has a meaning as a movie part. But when we're going to collect all episodes together on our mind, we received mosaic picture of Armenia.
So the symbolism is behind every scene of the movie. I think the pomegranates.
Yeah, of course. On the second floor, I'll explain in detail. But I want to say that he used this technology to create that, and that movie. It's a symbolic movie, and we can say that movie about Armenia. Through Sayatnova's life, through Sayatnova's eyes, he introduced us Armenia, especially medieval Armenia. From 1964 to 1988, Sergei Parajanov was not allowed to go out from Soviet borders. Only after the perestroika of Gorbachev, he could travel. First, he went to Rotterdam to participate in a film festival, and in Rotterdam, Sergei Parajanov was recognized as one of the best film directors of future among 20. This poster he brought with him. Then here he stick this flower lotus by Sargsyan. He wanted to show his greatness. Nickel Prize was the high prize of Soviet Union. It was like an Oscar. His last movie, Ashul Gharib or Ashik Garib, received 4 Nickel Prizes. Here we have self-portrait. This self-portrait he painted in 1963. After making the Shadows of Our Forgotten Ancestors movie, he predicted his upcoming. He predicted that he would be put in prison. So this is like a prisoner. Behind we can see the part of Armenian church. We also can say that this is about his 3 motherlands. Once he used to say, I was born in Georgia and lived in Ukraine, and then I will die in Armenia. We can also add this. In Munich, in one of the exhibitions, he saw this. He sold one of his works and bought this sculpture by Beata Schubert and his mask skull. I think there is no difference between face and mask. All these dolls he made were lovely characters of his movies, of his performance, which he couldn't put, or from Soviet routine, we can say. He was going to put business opera Carmen, he couldn't. So we can see Carmen Hassem, the Turk who gave up Gars, the last princess Anastasia, Yuri Gagarin. Again, I think it's a child Gagarin with his dreams. So Queen Tamara, Saint Nina, Russian famous writer Lermontov with his grateful heroes, and the last doll which he made himself, Parajanov in a Paradise.
Yes.
His childhood suitcase where he hid, not go to school. He didn't like go to school, like a whole geniuses.
Yeah.
We can see childhood of Genghis or Genghis Khan, again Yuri Gagarin, one of his lovely characters of Soviet society, Soviet Union. Steam engine. This train, it's a symbol of Soviet Union. But there is very interesting that Sergei Parajanov used these things to create this beautiful, this unique artwork. Even here we can see scissor, emblems, part of musical instruments, clarinets, part of lamp. Above part we can see the date, which he put upside down. In 1827 was opened first insurance company, which couldn't work. That's why he 2 angels put. He wanted to show that they promised, but they didn't do. Last Supper, again betrayal. But here we can see Khrushchev's, Stalin's pictures. He wanted to show that they were rulers and dictators, and people had to betray each other. On the second floor we can see acts of Fabergé and heart. It depends on us which one we can choose during our life. And fingerprint also, which symbolize to betray in Armenian language. His heart electrocardiogram. He said, all of my works for my heart, my feelings I express. Whole Armenian's heart electrocardiogram, it's a picture of the Mount of Ararat, small and big. His self-portrait, he put cat on his hand, out of cage bird, which symbolizes that how everything was forbidden, how everything was not allowed, his mind was free. With Russian famous movie maker Tarkovsky, they were very close friends. This collage he dedicated to their friendship. During his life, many times he changed collages, art pieces which he created, and many times he renamed. So this is the last version of this collage. He put gold medallion on Tarkovsky's neck. He wanted to show that all awards were given to him. He himself naked. His hands he depicted with gold shine, which symbolizes that he had nothing, he was not allowed. So he could very well play the piano and the violin. This doesn't belong to him, he had like this is a gift. Do you have any questions about this first
I
floor?
know that he was very impressed by works of Tarkovsky, and he changed like his direction in art.
He was
as
a movie maker, movie director. He was very impressed Tarkovsky's, Pasolini's, Fellini's, Eisenstein's artworks. So. Once American writer John Updike was in Ukraine, they met each other, and John Updike gave his self-portrait with his signature. After prison, Sergei Parajanov made this collage using that self-portrait. We think that he wanted to see American writer in a style of Soviet Union writer. With Russian famous actor, musician, poet Vysotsky, they were very close friends. Those two he dedicated to memory of Vysotsky. But here we can see Pushkin in mixtures. Yeah, he wanted to show that Vysotsky nowadays Pushkin.
Yeah, it's as great as Pushkin also.
This room we call Shining due to his collages. Here we can see collages which he made using broken glasses, piece of broken plates. So, service of fish, bouquet after rain. With his grandmother's walnut gem, he expressed his childhood memories. We also have beautiful, great memories from our childhood. There are pieces we must gather together to receive our childhood picture. And Sergei Parajanov received. Here we can see him with his parents. People know that Sergei Parajanov created art using broken glasses, any stuff, any useless things. So when their house anything was broken, they gave to Sergei Parajanov. For that, he was very proud.
For second life.
Yes. He was going to put performance of Hamlet, but he couldn't. Then he made sketch of the curtain for the performance of Queen of Spades. Again, he expressed his love of theater. Here we can see straw fish, blue fish. There are two symbols which we can see lots in the art of Sergei Parajanov. The first one is a pomegranate. The second is a fish. Fish in general symbolizes Christianity. But among his art symbolizes him, especially in his prison art. He wanted to show that he was like a fish. He couldn't say or do anything to help him when he was arrested. Using piece of broken bottles, he made this bouquet of irises, one of his masterpieces. Here he put this perfume to show that his flowers smell. Actually, they don't smell. Reminiscences about black caviar. Again, he wanted to show the deficit in Soviet society, which people had during their life. Using woman hair combs, he made this Gallic rooster, which one of the symbols of France. So he wanted to show proud character of Frenchman. The Virgin. On a black and white Virgin picture, he made this collage, which looks like an icon itself. So here we have those two details, which allowed us to say that for Sergei Parajanov, art was without borders. Even he went out from his created art frames. Here we can see two variations which Sergei Parajanov made using picture copies of the two great artists, Raphael and Pinturicchio. He made five, but we have only those two in this museum. Other three are in private collections. Elections are the marionettes. Before all of elections, people became like marionettes, puppets, because of money.
Yeah, so true.
Here we can see heart attack, where a whole broken limb is simulated human heart. Angel Parajanov. Here we can see him as a hero of Shakespeare's performance Midsummer Night's Dream. In a memory of Fabergé, he dedicated this luxury collage. You know that they made luxury eggs for the Russian Empire, so he wanted to dedicate it to the memory. After making a movie about Hakop Hovnatanyan, who was one of the founders of Armenian portrait, he made this collage. He wanted to pray for Hovnatanyan and thank for Hovnatanyan. In this museum, we have a collection of beautiful hats which Sergei Parajanov himself made, designed, and dedicated to the memory of Georgian actress Nato Vachinadze. You can see her portrait, which he used to create this great collage. She died because of plane crash. And Sergei Parajanov said that all these hats her played roles which she couldn't embody. She was mother of his friends, and his love of the Nato Vachinadze Sergei Parajanov expressed with those hats.
She was a great actress, and very beautiful.
And beautiful.
Yeah.
He was going to make a movie about the Hans Christian Andersen, Miracle in Athens, but he couldn't because he was arrested. Then he made Andersen's birthday, this collage, where he invited heroes of Andersen's fairy tale. I sold my summer house. Not far from Tbilisi, he had a summer house in Zalisi, where he had a great time with his friends, with guests. So each of his minutes he used to make improvisations. Each of his minutes he used to make like a part of performance, like a part of movie. So like this, he had a guest, the visit of his guest, he made like a party. Here we can see sketches of the performance of Hamlet, which he couldn't put. Marilyn Monroe. In a garbage, I saw a journal with a cover picture of Marilyn Monroe. He was thinking garbage wasn't really a good place for this woman. The right place for this woman, the display of this museum. So he made this collage. With Italian movie director Fellini, during life they had never met each other, but once Sergei Parajanov sent Fellini Ukrainian songs. Fellini thanked with his letter, so it was very important to receive letter from Fellini. Sergei Parajanov made this collage using that letter. The future of Armenian film. In a century, it was the future. He wanted to show that with him, before him, we can say there is nothing, after him, revival. Here we have a few episodes from Gioconda's or Mona Lisa's life. This part he made during his last years, but the idea came on his mind when he was in prison. And this one, it's the first one, which he made in prison. From prison he sent to his second wife with one sentence: "If I die here, she will cry for me." Then he explained that in prison one of prisoners on his shoulder had Gioconda's tattoo. When that person toppled, word moved, tattoo received different impression of faces. One she was winking, one she was grating, one she was smiling. So it seems that she was alive among us. Then he made this collection. In this room, we can see his movies sketches, movies which he could make, and the movie sketches which he couldn't make. So everything was ready to make the Demon movie, but this movie was forbidden. We can see only sketches by Lermontov of poem. He was going to make, unfortunately couldn't. But with his sketches, he gave us whole emotions, whole impressions, how he wanted to see that movie. We can see movement. elephant, which he made using his childhood suitcase. One of his friends, she came back from India. She told him about her trip, and then Sergei Parajanov decided to make this elephant. He wanted to show that even without traveling, his imagination, his fantasy allowed him to make a piece of art. Here we can see sketches of the shadows of our forgotten ancestors movie. This is Ukrainian movie. This movie made Sergei Parajanov world famous movie director. It was 1964. During 2 years, movie received 28 international awards, but none of them he didn't receive himself. In 1964, with this movie, he was going to go to Buenos Aires, participated in a film festival. Everything was ready. He was given his passport with two-way tickets. He told joke, why two-way ticket? After this joke, of course, he was not allowed. So here we have this picture where we can see how his film's first gold they give to Sergei Parajanov. This is his film's first prize. After this movie, Sergei Parajanov was invited to Armenia, where he made his masterpiece, Sayat Nova, or The Color of Pomegranates. It was 1966. He was invited to Armenia to make movie Sayat Nova. When he made this movie, the first closing screening was 1968. During that closing screening, the censorship decided that this movie was out of Soviet standards frame, and he couldn't make movies. But with this movie, he created new language in Soviet film industry. He used mosaic technique, he used symbols, he used Armenian culture heritage, and everything he wanted to show through poet eyes. That's why he chose Sayat Nova. You know, Sayat Nova was Armenian 18th century poet musician. Through Sayat Nova's eyes, because a poet more sensitive, and poet more sensitive could introduce his country. That's why. And it's a symbolic, without dialects, without a lot of speaking, but he created great movie. How said Martyr Saryan, each scenes we can put in a frame and we received art pieces. He started with, you know, everything he showed with Sayat Nova's life. How he was born, how he grew up, his first meeting with a woman, his love, the country, environment where he was living. Armenian, typical Armenian culture heritage, Hachkar or stone cross. Handwriting books he wanted to show. Our
treasure.
Yes. She was Georgian famous actress, Sofiko Chihareli. She played 7 roles in this movie. Even young Sayat Nova's role she played. So, Confession was an autobiographic movie about himself. The screenplay he wrote in 1968 when he was in Armenia, but only in 1989 he could make this movie. Unfortunately, he could make only first episode. He was hospitalized. He had lung cancer, so he couldn't finish this movie. We can see sketches. He could make that funeral episode, the first tragic which he saw. It was his neighbor's daughter died. And with this picture he wanted to show this picture he used in that episode. So here we have a pictures when Sergei Parajanov make this movie. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish, so we have only that 8 or 10 minutes from that movie. Sketches, again, about his life, the country where he was born, his family, his wife, Svetlana, in Tbilisi. Interesting stories, depends on his friends. The search of his family, because his father sold antiques. And we can gather together and receive his own picture with his sketches. Table, chairs were brought from his Tbilisi house. Many famous guests sat around this table. He worked on his table using mosaic technique. Even here we can see Soviet Union coins. Now about his 2 last movies. In Georgia, he made The Legend of Suram Fortress. This is typical Georgian, about that country, the traditions of that country. And his last movie, it's Ashu Gharibur Ashi Karib. It's a Muslim movie about Muslim singer. Some part of this movie he made in Azerbaijan. We had already had conflict with them. It was very dangerous, but Sergei Parajanov could make this movie, and he educated whole Muslim people.
So he crossed illegally the border, shooting
as he was living in Georgia.
Oh.
I think they had some allowance to go. So, and among his 4 famous movies, only this last one has happy end. Yeah. Among his 4 famous movies. Altogether, Sergei Parajanov directed nearly 14 movies, but among 14 he introduced those 4. Others he considered as typical Soviet Union products.
Low budget films.
Yeah, that's why we also, in this museum, show that movies which Sergei Parajanov himself consider his movies. Now we are in a memorial part of our museum of Sergei Parajanov didn't die. He lived here. In 1988, they organized with Mr. Zaven Sargsyan his first exhibition in Yerevan, in Folk Art Museum. After that exhibition, Sergei Parajanov wanted to move from Tbilisi, live here. So the government decided to give him some building for the house museum. He was very happy for that. Unfortunately, in Armenia had happened earthquake. All work stopped, become only in the spring of 1990. He was sick. He had lung cancer. Once he was here, he himself chose places, which one must be his living part, which one his museum part. This is like, this should be his apartment, we can say. He died in 1990 without living here. As a museum, building opened in 1991. But here we have those 2 memorial rooms. This is his bedroom. We also have his living room. Whole things, furniture were brought from his Tbilisi house. His bed, the art pieces which he had in his Tbilisi house, some of his art, his objects.
He liked these shoes very much, I remember.
Yeah,
from
in Eastern culture they use, especially in Bath. This is his living room. Here we can see this photo where Sergei Parajanov played role of Lermontov. His wife, Svetlana. Here we can see works of Sergei Parajanov which he made his last year, this part especially. And also we can see art pieces from other artists who presented to this museum. Ukrainian artist Katkov presented to this museum, Parajanov and his muse. Here we have works from Tonino Guerra, Italian screenwriter, sculptor Tonino Guerra. They were very close friends. Moldovan painter Bonza, Pushkin and the Gypsies. This was Parajanov's house. Italian famous designer Antonio Maras made fashion collection based on Parajanov's Sayatnovas movies. So he sent collage, 3 collages. One of 3 collages here we can see. Abbas Kiarostami, Iranian famous movie director, photographer, made exhibition in Yerevan, and that collection he dedicated to our museum. Here we can see one of his works. Russian President Vladimir Putin twice was here, and after second visit he sent this as a gift. But this is made by Sergei Parajanov.
In prison, I guess, right?
No, young Georgians. No, this is 1970s. In 1989 he was in Istanbul. So here we can see 4 collages which he made in Istanbul. He was a member of jury, and our last exhibition also was in Istanbul. Last year it was a great exhibition. And in the last room we can see his prison art. Twice he put prison. First time he was arrested in Ukraine in 1973. 4 years, 4 dangerous, bad years he spent in different camps in Ukraine with very dangerous people, killers, criminals. We can see their portrait. A thief never became a lender. It's a metaphorical meaning. He wanted to show that film director never became a cleaner, but in prison he was a cleaner, unfortunately. He used everything which he could find in prison, or which he was given. And he made all these art pieces. You know, many ethnographers went to prison to search, discover that environment where people had or lived. Sergei Parajanov was a prisoner living in that environment. He expressed with his art Soviet prison daily life. Each of his prison art pieces, it's one of the day, we can say one of the days in Soviet prison daily life and prisoners' daily life. Here we have tellers which Sergei Parajanov made using aluminum cups of milk bottle. With his fingernails they cut his faces in the cold tellers. This one, it's they use for the price of golden apricot. Here we can see. After first prison, he was not allowed to live in Ukraine, even in Yerevan or in Moscow. He was sent to Georgia. In 1982, again he was arrested. 8 months he spent in in Tbilisi prison. Those two last works he made in Tbilisi prison. On a handkerchief, he painted these public themes in a memory one of the thief which was died in prison. And his prisoner friends were complaining that everything he created for him. That's why he made his self-made playing cards for his prisoner friends. First time he was put in prison because of homosexuality, but it wasn't reason. The true reason was his free speech. In 1971, he was invited to Belarus, Minsk, to screen his Sayat-Nova movie. Before screening movie, they had some problems with electricity, and Sergei Parajanov used that time to having a speech. He spoke against the Soviet art industry, film art, and all that was recorded and sent to KGB. 1973, they had that opportunity to arrest Sergei Parajanov. That's why he was arrested. He must spend 5 years, but Lilia Brik, she was a very famous woman in Soviet Union, in Russia, and her sister's husband was French writer Louis Aragon. She asked Louis Aragon, and Aragon asked Brezhnev, and Sergei Parajanov was released after 4 years. Second time, again, Tonino Guerra asked Shvarnadze to release Sergei Parajanov, and he released. Twice, again, it was 2 times Sergei Parajanov was arrested because of his speeches. Only because of his speeches. This museum, during 29 years, organized 65 exhibitions, more than 35 countries. And with the exhibitions, we tried to, first of all, spread his art legacy, to show that he was a great artist also, and introduce Sergei Parajanov, artist.
Personally, me, I can listen for hours and hours. It was, I think we have a continuation, definitely. Thank you so much, Anahit, Arpine, Marina, and Baron Sargsyan for organizing this great event, for all the information, for all your comments. It was really very, very interesting. And now I think we can start our question and answer sessions. Anahit will be helping us with your questions, and you can unmute your microphones and ask your questions, or you can ask your questions in the chat section. Anahit, I have a question. First of all, I would like to ask a question, please. So we say that Sergei Parajanov had his own, he established his own style in cinema. In your opinion, what is the most distinctive feature in his style? And also, are there any filmmakers in nowadays that are trying to copy him?
Yes, he created his own language in cinema, especially during that Soviet period. I think he, without words, he could express the emotions, which it is my own opinion, which people can see listening some words from music or cinema. Nowadays, it is difficult to say that there are movie directors who try to copy the style of Sergei Parajanov. I think, first of all, it is difficult to try to copy
Parajanov, actually. Yeah. Yeah. And and that's why I think they don't even dare to. Yeah, they don't even think about that.
Yes.
You know, having the idea to copy.
Yes.
Thank you, Anahit.
You're welcome.
Yes, and we have questions in the chat section. The first question is, what artists inspired him?
You know, I didn't listen or read some articles or books where we can see that he was inspired some of artists, but I can say that he was inspired movie makers at that period. I can say that he was inspired Pasolini's, Fellini's, Eisenstein's, Tarkovsky's movie art. You know, as an artist, he made all of that art pieces. First of all, receiving pleasure, create something. He couldn't his ideas realized as a movie project. His ideas he compressed, realized as an artist project, art projects.
Oh, great. Thank you, Anahit.
Thank you. Can I ask a question, Anahit?
Yes.
You have mentioned that he was invited to Armenia in 1966 for shooting The Color of Pomegranates or Sayat-Nova film. So my question is, since he was invited, it means that there was an idea, the project, behind the film to shoot, or the order, I don't know, to shoot this kind of movie, right? But when we watch the movie, we see that it's purely Parajanov style. And how could they come up with such a offer, such a suggestion to this kind of a movie maker? Can you please explain this part? Because I know that he didn't have previously connections with High Film or Hamobek Nazarian here, movie studios in Yerevan.
Okay, thank you for your question. You know, I think after his The Shadows of Our Forgotten Ancestors movie, Armenian people, especially Armenian film or High Film, wanted to make a movie in Armenia. That's why they invited Sergei Parajanov as a famous, world-famous movie director. First of all, Sergei Parajanov wanted to make innovative movie, not about Sergei Parajanov. But his friends suggested him that idea which you had in Soviet Union, the censorship wouldn't confirm. That's why he tried to make a movie about Sayat-Nova. He was invited as a famous movie director, and I think Armenian people, culture figures wanted to have such kind of movie like The Shadows of Our Forgotten Ancestors, made by Sergei Parajanov. It is again my own opinion, but we have a letter where we can read that High Film invited Sergei Parajanov to come Armenia to make movie. But there is no, we can't read, or there is no other information, which kind of movie they wanted. I think they also wanted to have a movie about our country, or it was only Parajanov's idea.
Yeah, and there was no scenario
about the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, there wasn't any scenario. Everything was created by him.
You know, his Sayat-Nova, The Color of Pomegranates movie, it is without any screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
His ideas. And he received an innovative movie about our country.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
We have other questions. Let me read them. So, is there any book released on Parajanov's? Oh, sorry, I lost it. Is there any movie released on Parajanov's biography that has detailed his different life phases? If yes, what are they? So, do we have books, Anahit?
We have one book in English about his cinema. We have catalogs with his biography, but not different life lines with his life.
Okay, good.
You know, if someone have some questions, they can write to the museum, and we will answer. We will help for any information about Sergei Parajanov.
Okay. Thank you. So we have another question. I have a question about one of the Last Supper collages.
Yes.
Alice, do you have any concrete question about the collage or no?
You know, I want to say that Sergei Parajanov himself had never given some explanations about his art. All the explanations we some discover for us. Reading some books, reading some memories, or listening some information about Sergei Parajanov, and also we try to find information which is typical for that period. For example, why he used this symbol to describe these things. Especially we want to show, for example, I myself try to find the against of Soviet Union among his art pieces.
Oh, sure. Shachana Galam, this is Elise, and just a quick question about the Last Supper collage that that was in the virtual tour. There was you mentioned something about the fingerprint representing betrayal, and that it made sense in Armenian or something.
You know, in Armenian, in Armenian language.
Oh, yeah.
In Armenian language, when we translate fingerprint, it means mud. When you will put L suffix, it became matnel. It's a synonym of to betrayal. Davajanel, matnel.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh.
I think, I don't know. I myself discovered for me that information again. Why he put fingerprint.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Anahit. So the other question is, his uses Soviet state symbols like coins and other items in his collages is very interesting to me. Do you think this demonstrates a kind of both critique but also kind of nostalgia or even fondness?
Well, I think yes. all over.
Yeah. So you think
I
that
think yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Again, it is. I want to mention again and again that it is difficult to say something about his artworks, because I can say some things, but the director can say the other during the other excursions, the visitors can listen to others. It is difficult. That's why some of his works allowed us to make improvisations also, like The Last Supper and other works. But I think, yeah.
Interesting, yeah. And we have many thank you messages, Anahit, in the chat section. And can you please post the museum address, email in chat section? So if
Okay, email address. Now. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. I have another question, Anahit. So, I've heard from the nowadays Armenian filmmakers that I don't know if this is true or not. I just want to check if this information is true or not. So, when his Color of Pomegranate was, it was first time in Armenia, and they were watching it in a cinema hall. And when it started, Parajanov was sitting there, and at the end, he turned and he saw that there are about 10 people sitting in the cinema hall. And he said, for these people, I created actually the movie. I'm not expecting too many people to like my style. I know that it's very tough. Is that true?
To be honest, the first time I listened to this kind of information, I know that during that closing screening, many people say that we saw, but we can't understand what was about this movie. But the majority part they understood, and they know that Sergei Parajanov created great movie, but not in the for the Soviet people or in that country.
Yeah, I think this is a made-up thought to just emphasize his style. People make this, maybe quote in order to emphasize his style. I don't know.
Yes.
So we have another question. So I knew he was a film producer, but you showed also wonderful art created by him. Many thanks. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was not a question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other questions, dear friends?
Yes, I have a question about. You mentioned that Sayonova was sponsored by Hyphen, and I assume that Shadows of Our Forgotten Ancestors was made by the Ukrainian film, these Republic things that were in place at the time. But what about the others? The Legend of Suriname Fortress and Ashikari. Who was the institutional sponsor of those films?
Nowadays or at that period?
At the time, who
he made in Georgian film studio with Dodo Abashidze. You know, Dodo Abashidze was a Georgian famous film director, and he helped Sergei Parajanov to make those two last movies.
Okay, so also Ashikari was through that studio.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Nowadays, the copyright of those two last movies, they give the members of family.
Okay.
Sergei Parajanov and Dodo Abashidze.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Dear friends, do we have any other questions? No questions? Okay, great.
I have a question.
Yes, Carol. Yes, please.
Just wondering, have the two most well-known films, are they on video or DVD or anything to personally?
You know, we had DVDs, but nowadays we haven't. But on YouTube, you can find his 4 famous movies. You can write the titles and you will find.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You can also find them on our Learning Zone course page. Yeah, they are there. Yeah, thank you. I have one question, Anahit. While we visited your museum, you mentioned about the audiobooks that you have in English, available in English and also in Armenian. Where we can get them? Are they free? Are they online, or they sell them in your museum?
We made that audio guide for the museum. It is not free. We have Armenian, Russian, English, French, Dutch, Spanish, Italian, and many different languages. So you can get only in a museum. You can have an audio tour in our museum also.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And we have one more question. about the Parajanov in Tbilisi. What sort of coordination do you have with other museums or organizations that promote Parajanov's work? Parajanov Museum in Tbilisi, is there any?
The only museum of Sergei Parajanov in Yerevan. So there isn't a museum in Tbilisi or Ukraine. He had a house in Tbilisi, he had a flat that he gave to his son who several years ago sold. So the only place it is our museum.
Okay.
I missed other section. What support the condition to there is a monument in Tbilisi and in Ukraine also. Flying Parajanov. People can see in Georgia, in Tbilisi. And the other monument, but not the same monument, people can see in Ukraine.
We don't have any sculptures or monuments of Parajanov in Yerevan.
No.
No. As far as I remember, no. But I'm just, to be sure.
No.
Yeah. We have to have one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here with us. You made our day. Thanks a lot. It was so interesting in your questions and everything. Please don't forget that you can check all the materials on our Learning Zone classroom page. You can find videos, films, and much more interesting information. And also, please don't forget that we are meeting again for the next, and the next topic is going to be already available for you on Monday, and we are going to have interesting art exhibitions from Gofeshan Center for Arts, and we are going to meet a very interesting person here again through Zoom in our Zoom class, Zoom room, next Saturday, same time. Hope to see you all here. Thanks a lot for this wonderful day, evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Շնորհակալություն. See you soon.
Հաջողություն, հաճելիեր։
Նմանապես։ Հաջողություն։ Bye-bye։
Հուսամ մեր համագործակցությունը այսքանով չի ավարտվի ու մենք կշարունակենք մեր համագործակցությունը։
With great pleasure.